Hi, my name is Shailesh Singh and you are listening to CardioVed. This week, an interesting article came out in JACC and it was titled Predictors of Device-Related Thrombus Following Percutaneous Left Atrial Appendage Occlusion. It has been published in July 2021. Left atrial appendage occlusion is an alternative to oral anticoagulation for prevention of stroke in atrial fibrillation patients. The most common indication for use of left atrial appendage occlusion is high bleeding risk or a contraindication for oral anticoagulants. Device-related thrombosis or DRT may be seen in 3 to 4% of the patients after left atrial appendage occlusion. Device-related thrombosis after left atrial appendage occlusion is associated with a 4 to 5-fold increase in ischemic events. The antithrombotic therapy after left atrial appendage occlusion includes aspirin, which is given in the dose of 75 to 325 milligrams once a day, along with an oral anticoagulant in patients with low bleeding risk undergoing Watchman device implantation. It is usually given until 45 days of the device implantation or till left atrial appendage sealing has been confirmed by transesophageal echocardiography. Alternatively, clopidogrel can be used in the dose of 75 milligrams per day for 1 to 6 months. The antithrombotic management after left atrial appendage occlusion has never been tested in a randomized controlled trial. The LAAO-DRT or the LAO-DRT registry was a multi-centric study. It was conducted with the aim of identifying the independent predictors of device-related thrombosis. Close to 250 patients of device-related thrombosis were identified, and for each case, 2 patients without device-related thrombosis with the same device type at the same center were included in the study as control. A total of 711 patients were included in the study, out of which 237 patients had device-related thrombosis and 474 patients served as control. The device-related thrombosis was confirmed by either CT scan or transesophageal echocardiography. The mean age of the patients in both DRT group, that is device-related thrombosis group, and the control group was 75 years. Patients in the DRT group were more likely to have higher Chadwick score, more likely to have hypertension, congestive heart failure, prior stroke, prior venous thromboembolism, hypercoagulability, non-paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, and high-risk atrial fibrillation, which was defined as the presence of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy more than equal to moderate mitral stenosis or prior mitral valve repair or replacement. Approximately 75% of the patients in the study had received Watchman device. Approximately 80% of the device implantation was TEE or transesophageal echocardiography guided. Post-discharge antithrombotic therapy was similar in both DRT group and the control group. The study identified 5 independent risk factors for device-related thrombosis using multivariate analysis. And these are: number 1, hypercoagulability; number 2, iatrogenic pericardial effusion; number 3, renal insufficiency; number 4, implantation depth more than 10 mm from the pulmonary ridge; and number 5, non-paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. Hypercoagulability being related to device-related thrombosis is kind of self-explanatory. We expect that there would be higher chances of device-related thrombosis in the patients who have got hypercoagulable state. It has also been found that iatrogenic pericardial effusion is associated with increased risk of device-related thrombosis. It is mainly because pericardial effusion is usually a complication of device implantation, and it leads to diminished use of periprocedural antithrombotic agents. So we expect that there would be more chances of having device-related thrombosis in this subset. Deeper device implantation has also been found to be related to device-related thrombosis. This is perhaps the sole independent modifiable factor in device-related thrombosis. How is deeper device implantation related to more incidence of device-related thrombosis? This is because If the depth of implantation would be more, the residual left atrial appendage would still be available to provide the stasis and subsequent thrombus formation. In this aspect, depth assessment from pulmonary vein limbus may be helpful in preventing deeper implantations. Device size and device type have not been found to influence device-related thrombosis. This study also found that there is twofold increased risk of MACE or major adverse cardiovascular events, mainly due to ischemic stroke because of device-related thrombosis. This was something which was already known from the previous data we had. The previous data was suggestive of 4 to 5-fold increase in ischemic events. After diagnosis, these patients were placed on more intense antithrombotic agents. And in this study, it was found that this was sufficient enough for clearing thrombus in majority of the patients. Only 1/4 of the patients had persistent device-related thrombosis. Now, this is the problem we are facing now, because the sole intention of implanting the left atrial appendage occlusion was to avoid intense anticoagulation, but now we'll have to somehow give it to the patient who is already probably at higher bleeding risk, and this is what he or she requires now because of the presence of thrombosis in the arterial system. However, in this registry, it was found that the more intense antithrombotic regimen did not increase the bleeding rates in device-related thrombosis patients. What we also came to know after this study was that factors like CHF or congestive cardiac failure, higher Child-Vasquez score, history of a stroke, para-device leak, and antithrombotic regimens are not the predictors of device-related thrombosis. Another lesson that we learned from this study is the timing of device-related thrombosis varies considerably. In this registry, approximately 1/4 of the patients had the diagnosis of device-related thrombosis at less than 45 days, whereas close to 40% patients were diagnosed as a case of device-related thrombosis at 45 to 180 days. Approximately 15% patients were diagnosed as a case of device-related thrombosis at 180 to 365 days, and approximately 20% patients were found to have device-related thrombosis after 365 days of device implantation. The authors concluded that device-related thrombosis after left atrial appendage occlusion is associated with high risk of ischemic events, and both patient factors and procedural risk factors can predict the onset of device-related thrombosis. So there are some important messages from this registry. The only limitation of this study was it was a case control study.
We will be back with more videos on recent advances, recent guidelines, and recent articles in cardiology. Follow CardioEd for more such content. Like and share the video and subscribe to CardioEd.